I started doing my walks, my working out, power walking, whatever you want to call it, because just in the last month that I've been doing it, I actually feel tremendously better. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, right now I get up. Look at that. I just jumped up. No problem. No pain. Everything's good. My legs feel healthy. I can easily move around. No problem.
Before we get started today, I just want to acknowledge that what I'm covering should have been done in my weekly review, but DSP had so many warped thoughts, so many rabbit holes to go down, that if we would have covered it all, it would have been a 10-hour stream, and I can't pull that off. What do you want me to tell you? I'm no Iviga. Go to bed, by the way, and of course, big ups. So, yeah, this may be old lore by comparison to how fresh I'm trying to stay in the current events. I hope you'll forgive me. That being said, shout out, of course. Let's get started.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort Hogan.
Drip.
Snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Today's gonna be a good day, and the reason being, there's a couple reasons. Reason number one, because we get to chill, right? We get to relax. We get to enjoy games. We get to interact. I love that. But also, today is the final day that I'm actually playing the year one version of Street Fighter 6. That's right. As of this Wednesday, Street Fighter 6 gets its patch. This releases the final DLC character for Season 1, Akuma, but it also changes the game in a very different way. So basically now the whole game is going to be rebalanced. All right. Every character is going to have different combos, different abilities. This is going to shuffle the deck, per se. Some characters are going to be better. Some characters are going to be worse. Will it change anything for my characters that I play? I don't know. We actually won't know until Wednesday. On Wednesday, they've already said they even added new combo trials for each character to showcase the changes to each character so you can figure out exactly, what's new. So tonight is the last chance for me to really play Street Fighter 6 in its original form before these big changes happen on Wednesday. And I see tonight, the late stream when I play Street Fighter 6, as kind of a celebration. A celebration of a year of awesome competitive Street Fighter gameplay here on DSP Gaming. A celebration of my triumphant return to competitive fighting games in a major way, to a point where not only did I play Street Fighter 6, I actually got good at it. I got 5 characters to master, 4 of which arguably are 4 of the worst characters in the game.
Before you go look it up, yes, this was the day before Phil said that he didn't believe in bragging about how much he could lift. I'm guessing because he sees that as somehow egotistical or otherwise distasteful, but when it comes to Street Fighter 6, a game which, if mastered, has the same positive impact on the average person as winning $1 on a scratch-off ticket. I mean, yeah, for a second you're like, yay, $1, but it doesn't really help you do much of anything in the real world. Phil will happily talk about this subject matter. One might even say be proud and boastful about it, but when it comes to keeping your body healthy, well, we can't talk about that. That's out of the question, obviously.
Right? Zangief, Lily, Honda, Dalsim are not anywhere near top tier in this game. Yet, I got them all to the master rank, and it was all with a positive win-loss ratio. It wasn't like, oh, I grinded endlessly and I have, 1,000 wins and 70,000 losses, but because the way the game works, I hit master. No, I actually legit hit master, all with positive wins. So, that's a huge accomplishment for me. Someone who had been outside of the realm of competitive fighting games for nearly a decade. If you remember, the last time that I actually was trying to be good at fighting games was Street Fighter 4. I haven't really cared about modern or competitive fighters in a very, very long time. So,
as soon as Phil said this was a huge accomplishment, I cringed. I know it's his hobby, so to speak, but if you've watched my other videos, you know my position on this. But if not, let's go over it again. In my opinion, Phil thinks he should be envied, or that people should hold him in some high regard for this accomplishment. And what confuses me to this day is that there is no evidence that anyone thinks that this is a feat of great skill or strength. No one is wide-eyed going, wow, 4 low-tier characters to master. And this got me thinking, what does the news say a huge accomplishment is? So I fired up the old Google and blind searched huge accomplishment, and here were the results. For my audio style listeners, the headlines cover things like somebody getting their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, graduation ceremonies, sports setting the stage for a big summer, and winning 3 in a row at Daytona, and last but not least, Rachel Leviss celebrating 1 year sober, huge accomplishment. So again, we have merit-based martial arts recognitions, graduations, sports, and sobriety all making an appearance. What I don't see is anything on Street Fighter 6. So on a whim, I threw huge accomplishment in quotes and Street Fighter 6 in quotes into the same search. They garnered one result from 2017, so I removed the quotation marks from huge accomplishment. Unfortunately, I was unable to find a result about Timmy, the 42-year-old who came home from the coal mines to unwind with Street Fighter 6, talking about how it was a huge accomplishment that he made it to master. Shocker, I know. And Phil kind of alludes to this notion I'm dancing around, which is put away childish things, by saying he stopped trying to be good in Street Fighter 4. Now, I can hear the blowback already. Didn't you admit to gaming? Or what about these videos you're making? Aren't they childish? And sure, they are. And yes, I game. Hey, I even beat Stellar Blade. The difference lies in the fact that I don't base my personality around games or this channel. I don't think I'm somehow superior because I beat this game or I'm good at that game. It's just a way to blow off steam. Same thing with these videos. And yes, they also fuel my ego a bit. I'm just being honest, dude. But if I ever got to the point where I walked into a room and held my head higher because I thought I was better than everyone else because I have a YouTube channel, that's the day I need a Minecraft shovel brought against my avatar's head.
Yeah, I was so happy this last year. Like I said, this really was a triumph for me, an accomplishment. Something that at my age too, I'm in my 40s. It's not like, oh, I'm one of these young kids in 20s and 30s. I'm in my 40s. And to be able to actually do what I've done in this game was very, very meaningful to me. And I want to thank you all for that ride in the last year. For those who showed up, engaged, and supported all of that Street Fighter content, whether it was live or on demand, that means a lot to me. That you guys actually cared about me getting back into Street Fighter for the first time in a very, very long time.
There is so much crippling sadness to unpack here, but screw it, here we go. Oh, before we actually start unpacking, I want to offer this disclaimer. If you're in your 40s, 50s, whatever age you are, and you haven't done all the things you want to do, that's okay, because you and I both know you have the drive to try and do great things. This immediately separates you from Phil in a positive manner, okay? That being said, shout out, here we go. We're going to focus on one word, triumph. Defined as a great win or accomplishment. Synonyms include conquest, ascendancy, and mastery. I think I've mentioned this before about language in that I believe proper use, although I fail quite frequently, to be paramount, especially word selection or verbiage. So when DSP uses the word triumph and accomplishment in adjacent sentences, I put stock into that word selection. He means this. He really thinks this is a big deal, but I'm biased towards DSP, thinking that he's terrible. So I did some generic searches for things to do by the age of 40, and I came across a gentleman's journal page titled 40 Experiences Every Gentleman Should Have Before He's 40. If you go to this article, be warned, it is apparently directed towards those who are making $250,000 to $500,000 a year or are just really good with their money. But I bring it up because the 40 things mentioned are all really cool feather in the cap type stories. Things like traverse a country with a pack of sled dogs, step into the ring and go 10 rounds with someone, eat a meal you've hunted or grown yourself, travel to Iceland and see the Northern Lights, take a Harley Davidson on a road trip around America. And to be clear, I've done none of these things. Some I don't want to do, others are now on my list of shit I want to do. And this is what I want to focus on. It sets you and me apart from DSP. We have this desire for growth, to expand our mind through living. If you're anything like me, you want to push your body to see what it can do. You want to push your mind to see what it can learn. And you want to live experiences that are, to quote DSP, meaningful. DSP wants recognition he got bad characters to master in Street Fighter 6. I'm sure there's a witty joke I could throw in here, but how am I going to beat the joke that is DSP's life goals?
And listen, I'm not part of the FGC. I'm just going to say that again. I'm not part of the fighting game community. I haven't been for a very long time. I literally left on purpose. I saw when I was becoming a prominent YouTuber that there was a lot of bad feelings in the FGC about me. They were upset that I wasn't trying to be a competitive player, but was getting popularity. So I decided to step out of that realm. And I casually covered fighting games for about a decade. And now to step back into that realm and actually try to get good at a game again, it's a different kind of a feeling. It's an undertaking. I really am the outsider to that group. I'm not practicing with any people from the FGC. I'm literally just doing random online sets. You know what I mean? So, thank you all. Tonight, the final stream of Year 1 Street Fighter 6 is a celebration of all of that, all right? So that's going to begin at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, and since this is essentially the final Year 1 stream of Street Fighter 6 I'm doing, it's going to be all Blanca, my favorite and best character in Street Fighter 6. I'm going to do my absolute best tonight to bring in the wins and see how we do. I hope you will join me for that tonight if you can make it. It's a celebration and a send-off for year 1 Street Fighter 6. Okay?
I loathe it when DSP... Oh, it's not double talk. It's kind of word salad, but it's not word salad. I'm going to call it reframing without change, and I hate it when he does that. So, it's the last day of Year 1 Street Fighter 6. Okay, that's fine. It's a celebration. A celebration?
What the hell is even that?
What the fuck does that mean? And I'm legitimately asking now, when he says things like, tonight is a celebration, or tonight is special, or tonight will be meaningful, what does that mean? Does the stream change? Does he open up the stream by Fortnite flossing? Or is it just DSP reframing the same old tired-ass stream as being different in the hopes that those with an IQ around their age will say, oh man, I can't miss this? And why is this bit been going on for so long? You're playing Street Fighter 6 tonight. Cool. Next item.
Wednesday is the big update for Street Fighter 6, and I'll be playing it all day long. First stream, my intention is to check out Akuma. I want to bring Akuma into the trials mode, try out his trials, learn basics from the trials, then go into training mode and practice some of those combos and bread and butter tactics, and then go online with casual play and see how we do. Now, I'm going to do a second stream on Wednesday. That also is going to be Street Fighter 6. Now, the question is, do we want to continue with Akuma? Do I want to keep playing with this character and getting better with him, maybe even, if I feel good enough, try to take him to rank? Or, instead of that, since the game has a giant rebalance, do I want to pick one of my other characters who I like and take them quickly into trials mode to see what their new combo trials are, to see what's changed, and then take them online and see if I can implement those changes in gameplay? We could do either. You know, we could do Akuma all day. No, you're not going to do that. We could do Akuma all day long, or we could balance it and do half Akuma, and the late stream could be a different character. Okay? So let's think about it, and I would like to hear your opinions on that, and then we'll go from there, okay? Then Friday night, this coming Friday night fights, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this? I'm doing something very special, something I've not done in a very long time, and it is in celebration of the Street Fighter 6 update, but I'm not telling you what it is yet. All I'm going to say is you will not want to miss this Friday night fights. It's going to be something truly different that you're not expecting. That's all I'm going to say, okay?
Well, looky there. I've been proven wrong. Well, maybe. Obviously, this is coming out before Friday Night Fights, so who the fuck knows what this special event is, but I'm not above speculation, so here are the options I see. 1, Cat's back on the stream. Christ knows why. 2, he's dressing up like Karen again. Ken. He's dressing up like Ken again. Or 3, his wife is gonna cook food for him. And that's as far as I can see his mind going. Although, if he did full Zangief costume, that would mean he's shirtless and... oh god. I could quit my job with the amount of content I could milk from those man titties. Now, for the first time, I'm bringing out a video I reacted to live. It's the DSP Flex video, and I'm doing so because, as I mentioned earlier, my previous stream was just chaos. My mind was on about 100 different things, so now that I'm refocused and can truly concentrate, let's go.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort,
Hogan. Drip.
snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
When I worked out, what was my favorite body part to work out? I did not have a favorite body part to work out. I didn't favorite my body parts. Oh, my left delt was my favorite body part to work out. What are you talking about, man?
I'm going to be cutting in so much this bit, I'm just going to pop in on the stream, FYI. First of all, this question isn't hard. It's typically one of 5 responses. Chest, back, legs, shoulders, or arms. You could throw core in there, I suppose, but for most lifters, it's the initial 5 that I mentioned. The fact he doesn't know this, or has seemingly forgotten it, is just another tally mark in the evidence Phil didn't lift column.
I did all exercises. I did the curls, right? I did the bench press, squats. I did the...
He did all the exercises, you guys, okay? Right? I mean, his curl motion is atrocious, normally reserved for the tops of 21s or if you have depth injury to your bicep. Moreover, I've watched his miming of the curl an unhealthy amount, and I firmly believe that DSP was the dude who threw 90% back into the curl and 10% bicep. You know these guys in the gym because they're holding weight way too heavy for them, and it looks like they're throwing the weight around. Now, this is not to be confused with cheat curls, those are a legitimate thing. His bench motion, I cannot stress this enough, would snap your shoulders under heavy load. He's bringing it to eye level, not chest level. Here are my bench cues for heavy or maximum weight. These are what I tell myself in my head. 1, set hands to proper width. 2, plant my feet. 3, retract my wings, my back, and unload the bar. 4, bring bar forward to my nipple line. 5, retract my wings again and begin descent. 6, rest on my chest for 1 second. and then 7 explode out. Like, unless you lift, you can't know. So I am asking you to trust me. The miming of the bench press that he does is physically painful for me to watch. Next, he says he squats, pauses, and then looks to reach up as if he's going to do a pull-up, but your hands do go to the shoulder line for squat because that's where you hold the bar. But even then, it looks so weird and bad. He then blanks on all the exercises he's done. It would be like someone asking, what was your school day like years after you left school? You did it so much, there's no possible way to forget the basic idea of what you did on a day-to-day basis, but DSP would answer that question with like something to the effect of, I had a completely normal day. I arrived, I attended class, I ate lunch. Like, no shit, dude. Tell us something we don't know. Tell us something of value.
I'm trying to remember exactly which ones I did and which ones I didn't do. I did a ton. Like, I did a ton of different exercises back then, actually. Oh, the one where you bend over, you just have the one arm coming up like this, and you alternate. I did those.
Single arm rows or lawnmowers are what these are called. Also, if you do these, do not do them like DSP has just demonstrated. Pull it to your hip, not your shoulder. You want to feel it in your back. That's the point of the lift.
I did a whole bunch of exercises because I told you drinking those whey protein smoothie things. I would buy them from like GNC, and I would take that and I would be working out, and I buffed way up. Like, no exaggeration, I had no muscles at all when I was in high school. I was just like a string bean. Zero muscles. This arm, I know you laughed at, oh, you don't have a big muscle now, right? I don't have a big muscle now. But you see the muscle I have? I had nothing. This was like a twig, like zero muscle to my arm at all in high school. And then when I worked out, I ended up getting muscle. And I kind of retained.
Disclaimer as always, I will not body shame anyone who is either happy with how they look or is actively improving themselves. That said, this is sad and pathetic. Gasp, Broside Phil, I hear you say. I thought you said you wouldn't body shame. True, but Phil is a special case. Phil, as we will soon hear, expects you to treat him as if he has the body of an Adonis. He expects the recognition and praise for being strong because he used to be, even though he can't and won't prove it. Then he has the gall to tell other people this is what you should do to be healthy. Like, imagine going to a course on proper diet for desired body mass index, and the instructor is sucking on a burrito like a cigarette, weighs 500 pounds, and pulls the old fat bastard of, I'm dead sexy. Then, when you get ready to leave the class, the instructor calls you a mouth drooler because you don't believe they can lower your body fat. This is the most apt comparison I can draw to DSP, and why I hate the fact that he feels comfortable flexing on camera as if we should envy him.
Some of that over the years. I still have the little muscle I have is because I worked out. And it's good that I kind of kept it because, like I said, I was so effing skinny in high school, and then after that I buffed up. Did working out cause my back issues? No. I had my back issues came much later. My back issues came in the late 2000s. I was working out, hardcore for like 1 to 2 years in the early 2000s. Yes, I experienced physical bullying and intimidation when I was in high school constantly. In reality, that's one of the reasons that actually convinced me to start working out, because I was so skinny in high school that I said, man, maybe if I actually worked out and started buffing up and I could defend myself, then people wouldn't bully me around. And that's when I started buffing up, and I gained, no exaggeration, I probably gained like 20 pounds of muscle just by working out.
Horse shit!
Absolute grade A bullshit. But don't take my word for it. Here's the result of how much muscle can an 18-year-old put on in a year from Google. And wouldn't you know it, DSP is obviously the exception. He's the superstar. He's a superhero. Yes, DSP said in less than a year, if I'm remembering the WPIG episode of Phil versus Fitness correctly, I believe he said in under a semester, he put on that 20 pounds of muscle, likely twice the amount of muscle as the common man would in a year. So, in 18 weeks, he put on 20 pounds. DSP's body is 400% more efficient than you or I. This is what makes him deserving of shame, in my opinion. The best parallel I can think of is a top-tiered brain surgeon of the world telling everyone how he mastered his craft over like 20 years, only to hear DSP shout from the back, Yeah, I was on pace to master that. Like, no lie, I had my residency done in a year, but then I decided gaming was the better career. Like, boo this man. Boo.
Did working out end up making a difference with bullies? Yeah, like, again, this was my early 2000s. So, I was in my like late teens, early 20s. I went from being the guy who was bullied in school to the guy who everyone just stayed the fuck away from. Like, no one wanted to mess with me because I actually had like buffed up a bit, and they're like, oh shit.
I mentioned this back on my stream. I have basic combatives down pretty good. I understand the closed guard, mount, side, and back. I know violence of action is your best bet to ending a fight early. All those things. And y'all have seen enough of me to know my big slow ass, to know I have some strength to me. I would be destroyed by an intermediate, hell, even an apt beginner of almost any martial art, because I haven't studied that. There is no way in hell anyone saw DSP and saw him as a threat. Well, maybe women. And aptly so. Have you read that manifesto? Holy incel, Batman. But Phil, I'd wager the reason no one wanted to mess with you, per se, is because you were insufferable. You're an asshole, annoying, unbearable, and with, like, zero redeeming qualities. It had nothing to do with you bulking up, so sit the fuck down, my dude.
You know, let's stay away from it. You know, like seriously, like those are like kind of those early days of me early 2000s traveling around playing Street Fighter. And, you know, then I became an asshole. Then I became like a big-headed asshole talking shit online, probably as a result of buffing up a bit and working out. And I thought I was hot shit, right? So here I am talking shit online constantly to everyone under the sun about Street Fighter, and it was really stupid. I shouldn't have done that. If I just worked out, would I have done gym vlogs? No, I would not have done gym vlogs. That's so silly. The thing about exercise is, for me anyway, when I got into exercise, once you get past the hurdle of making it a regular part of your schedule, and the initial weeks to months of it kind of being painful because you're not used to doing it, once you get past that and it becomes a regular part of everything, it's actually good to do. It's fun to do. Like, you start to get addicted to that feeling that they call the burn.
There's so much wrong here. Let's start with the it's addictive. This is true, but like the snake oil salesman he's not being transparent. The joke is, I regret doing that workout, said no one ever, because it's the after the workout part that you're wanting. You're flooded with endorphins. Cue endorphin rush here, right? But that's the easy part. Feeling good is the consequence. And trust me when I say, remembering that consequence, remembering that feeling good is coming, that's never easy. So, like me, when I woke up today, beat the fuck down, tired, low energy, guess what? I gave in. I stayed in bed until 6:45 and missed my lift. I'll make it up, don't worry. Because the act itself is a grind. It's a daily battle of discipline, and many days of the year, I fail. Filbert here is selling like this, just make it through a month and you'll never quit, as his titties jiggle in the wind. Now, let's move to the craving of the burn. Most don't crave the burn, they crave the pump. When you work your arms to the point it feels like your bicep is going to rip through your skin, or your chest gains an extra inch from all the blood poured into the muscle, it is an amazing feeling. Getting to that point involves the burn, yes, but that shit is painful. Watch a true bodybuilder work to failure. Many times they're not screaming because it's heavy weight, especially on like the smaller muscle groups like the biceps or triceps, but because you're ripping your muscles apart, and the burn is painfully intense. Immediately after the lift is over, you'll likely see them prodding and poking the muscle because it's so pumped. It's mind-blowing. That's what people are craving. But anyway, let's hear some more wrong shit from Phil, why don't we?
Right? You start to burn in your muscle, and it's, oh, I like that feeling. I like the feeling of it's burning, and now it's healing and building up more protein and everything. What? What the fuck?
Building up more protein? What the actual fuck is that sentence? Your muscles don't build protein, they build up with protein. Jesus fucking Christ, this level of fuckery shouldn't even be possible.
To it. Most people just, they're lazy, complacent, they're not used to exercise. Once you get used to it, it actually feels fun and good, something you want to do. You desire the next workout. But you have to get to that point, and a lot of people can't get past that initial hurdle, right? Like right now, I know if I had time to get into a regular workout routine, I would very enjoy it. I know I would. I've done it times in my life. I actually really like working out. It's fun. And again, you can do things. You can like listen to the videos, or, you know, listen to music while you're doing it. So it's not even like you're just doing dedicated to that. You can do other things you find pleasurable while you're working out. There's, you know, it's fun, but you got to get to that point where you have my problem right now is time. If I wanted to regularly work out, I really don't have the time to regularly work out because I'm working so much.
Here it is. I told you it was coming. You see, you can't make it over the hurdle, you lazy fuck. You, yes, you are lazy and can't get past the pain of working out because that's just who you are. This is what DSP is saying while seated. Man boobs flopping, carpal tunnel rocking, and biceps atrophying. Oh, but Phil's not lazy. No. You see, he works too much from home with a schedule he creates because he's his own boss, meaning he answers to no one. Yeah, he can't make time. Phil has the valid excuse, you see. You're lazy. Phil's a victim. Make sure you write that down.
Alec91, 16 months as a member, said, what was your PRs for bench squats deadlifts? I don't know. I have to keep explaining. I weightlifted in the early 2000s, about 20 years ago. I don't have records. I have no recollection of any of the weights or reps or anything that I did 20 years ago. I have absolutely no fucking clue.
Phil is lying. There is no additional statement needed. He is lying. The only continuation of the investigation or statement that is needed is what is he lying about? He's either lying about ever working out in the past, or he's lying about not knowing his maximum weights. You cannot convince me otherwise. I mentioned this on the stream. I went through strength and conditioning in 7th grade, 1997. Yes, I'm old. In 1997, my starting bench maximum was 65 pounds, and that's low. And I'd forgive Phil for not even knowing his lowest weight, but 18 weeks later, it was 105 pounds. I remember this because I wanted the 35s so bad. That would have been 115 pounds, but I didn't get them. That was 27 goddamn years ago. I have yet to meet another man on the planet who doesn't remember what he maxed at. They simply do not exist. Or they have a traumatic brain injury and they physically can't remember. I believe he never really worked out on free weights, and he doesn't know what weight to call as believable. For instance, if he calls his max at 315, we're all going to go compare Phil's pictures across time to those who can, or have confirmed, benched 315 to see if he's lying. And I think Phil can't stand the thought of being caught in another lie.
I did not record that. I never fathomed, all right, that in the early 2000s, when I was in my early 20s, now I'm in my 40s, when I was in my early 20s, that 20 years later, there would be a stream of 400 people sitting here on a phantom site that didn't exist yet called YouTube, who would ask me my statistics for when I was working out back then. Also, if you want to know the truth, I don't see the point in recording and bragging about that shit. It's supposed to be your personal goals, your personal growth, your personal, you know, it's not about, oh, I gotta fucking share that with people on the internet to brag about it. I think that's silly, right?
Did you go through voluntary torture to mold, shape, and sculpt your body into being more fit or stronger? Do you feel a sense of pride about beating your demons, getting up day after day, grinding it out, sweating, crying, puking, despairing, but eventually beating your previous max, thereby signifying your growth? Are you proud of who you've become? Well, shut the fuck up, says DSP. That's a personal thing. Bragging about it is bad, you mouth-drooling moron. All right, now that we have that out of the way. Okay, all right, guys. I got an award from my helicopter company, you guys, right? I was valuable there. They went out of business after laying me off. Also, I got 5 characters to master in Street Fighter 6, and it was meaningful and an accomplishment, especially because I'm 42. I overcame so many odds. Now pat my head, suck my dick, and tell me I'm a special boy.
It's just funny because this is what happens when you're a public figure like this. I'll give you a perfect example. I'll tell you right now, there's something that's going to be coming up later this year, that documentary from June the King, okay? When he was making and working on the documentary about me, which, by the way, I think he's finished it. It's just that now it's getting, like, produced, like it's getting put together and edited and everything. So there were times when he would hit me up with questions, all right? And, like, here's an actual question he asked me. So where did you get the figure for the value of the PC that Chris Furtado made for you that you said was a lemon? He hit me with that question, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. Like, I think I based it upon the fact that he originally had given me a quote, but then he kept hitting me up with the desire for more money over the development of the PC, and I had to keep sending him more money via PayPal. But you're asking me a question that applies to, like, 2010 in 2024. I don't remember. And unlike maybe him, I don't have any receipts. Like, I didn't save anything 14 years ago to prove what I spent on a PC. So you're making a documentary about me about something that happened 14 years ago, and you're asking me a specific question. There's literally no way I could have any actual knowledge or evidence of anything that you're asking me. You know what I'm saying? I don't have detailed workout regimen information about workouts I did in the early 2000s. I never fathomed that in 2024 someone would ask me that question.
Hey, asshole, no one asked for your workouts. They asked for your maximums. Stop conflating one question with another so you can explain why you can't answer a question that was never asked.
When Chris Furtado was making me a fucking PC in 2010, number one, I probably never expected that it would have issues. And number two, I didn't think that it would be a big issue for people on the internet that I need to, like, document that information. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who would have thought in 2010 when I was just burgeoning, like becoming a prominent YouTuber, that years later, someone would ask me for the specifics of that? I have no idea, you know? So that's kind of sadly, the double-edged sword of being a public persona, is that you can talk about stuff, but how would you ever have justification of any of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have anything. How would I have evidence of anything that I say about these things? These are just stories I can tell you, but it's not anything that I can back up. How the fuck would I ever do that? No one ever thought that there was going to be a YouTube and YouTubers and live streamers and people, you know what I'm saying? And then people would question everything you say and want evidence of it.
You know, there are times in life when we should be thanking our lucky stars, and this is one of them. We should be thanking God that Phil is not a detective. This man would never close a fucking case. Logical connections are a thing, Phil. For instance, if you still have access to the account statements of PayPal or the maxed out credit card you used for the computer, you could isolate down to the months in which the computer was purchased and look for large transactions to a single person or business. This would likely be the computer. See? That took 10 whole seconds to think up. But I suppose when you're a known compulsive liar, we can't use things like circumstantial evidence or logically connected evidence to prove a case. Unless, of course, it's the Hooker arc. Then all the evidence that came out is infallible, and you're a moron if you believe otherwise.
You know, maybe if I had known that, I would have literally documented every single possible thing that I ever did and had rooms full of fucking documents and receipts to back up every statement I ever made, right? But I don't have that. I don't have that. So, like, I know what's going to happen, right? Like, so when that documentary comes out later this year, it's just going to be a bunch of negative shit that people have said about me over the years and just literally no way to defend myself to it. I'm like, I don't know. Either I say, yes, it definitely happened, I'm bad, that was my fault, or I literally don't remember, I can't tell you, right? So, that's life, though. When you guys ask me these crazy questions about stuff from the past, I'm like, how could I possibly answer that, right? How? You know? It's funny, I remember years ago, people asked me about my school days, and I said, well, I was the valedictorian of both my elementary school and my high school. And everyone's like, Phil's too stupid to be valedictorian. There's no fucking way that he could possibly be valedictorian. Well, guess what they did? My trolls contacted my schools and actually asked specifically, was he valedictorian? And apparently they looked it up and answered, yeah, he is. He was. He's in the yearbook. We have the yearbook. Yeah, he was the valedictorian. But that's what I mean. People actually, like, oh, they don't believe anything I say. Everything's a lie. We need corroboration on everything Phil says. Like, geez.
Reminder, the crazy questions that he can't believe that people come up with, that was, what was your max lifts? And how could he know that, guys? Anyway, shameless plug inbound. Tomorrow, if you're a neophyte or gym rat, or today, if you're not a member, I'm streaming part 3 through, we don't know because there are 5 parts, but I'm streaming Phil's reaction to the John and Howard podcast where they talk about Phil. In the previous stream, parts 1 and 2, we heard from Phil's own goddamn mouth that he was lying when he talked on his podcast about John and Howard in past episodes. His rationale, in summary, was, well, what was I gonna do? I thought that lying was gonna benefit me the most. If I told the truth, there would have been backlash, and that would have been bad for me. He legitimately stated that if I think I stand to gain from lying, I will lie. And now has the balls to cry victim that everyone has to verify what I say. They can't just believe me. I mean, this straight up belongs with the Facebook group tag of, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Guys are brutal, vicious people on the internet. Noct says, didn't you have a chance to defend yourself with the Mike Klum doc but turned it down? How exactly? Again, like, let's hypothetically say I did the Mike Klum documentary. So you got someone from back in the day, let's say it was someone from the Street Fighter community, who would come out and be like, yeah, Darkseid Phil was an asshole, he did this and this. So what would I do? I would either say, that's a lie, or that's true. How would I prove it? How do you prove something that happened 20 years ago that no one documented? There's no video back then of anything. It's a bunch of people typing on forums. It's a bunch of people in chat rooms that weren't backed up. And it's things that happened in real life in tournaments that weren't recorded. So how would you actually back, like, what's the point?
Direct testimony is valid, Phil. In every court of law, direct witness testimony is a staple when prosecuting someone, especially their character. And what's better is that you don't get a chance to say that they didn't feel a certain way. So if Mike Klum had 100 people lined up ready to say things like DSP was a creeper or a pervert, DSP was an asshole, DSP was the scum of this community, you don't get to offer proof. Because it's their perception of you. It's the perception of the community. You are those things to them. And let this be a lesson to anyone who is going out being an asshole because they think they aren't going to suffer consequences. Phil is the poster child for the I can do whatever I want kid becoming an abject failure. Sure, he hasn't been thrown in jail or canceled for his actions, but look at the man. I mean, and I say man very loosely, would you ever want to be Phil? But that wraps this one up. I may try to knock out another one tomorrow, being Friday, but with the stream coming up, I don't know. As always, thank you for watching. It gives me the warm fuzzies, and thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, or otherwise telling YouTube I exist. I really appreciate it. Big ups to Snort Hogan for the clips. I truly appreciate your ceaseless work. And the biggest thank you, virtual hugs, and biggest of ups go to my members of any tier. Thank you so much. Your support, it honestly floors me to this day. Until next time, swole is the goal for a troll, lift heavy, eat clean. God, imagine Phil as a defense attorney. Your Honor, how exactly am I supposed to convince this jury that my client is a decent person when the prosecution keeps bringing up everyone he's ever met to tell the jury that he's a shitbag?